Welcome to Viewing and Reviewing, where I pull older movies off the shelf, watch them, and let you know if I believe they're worth your time to watch or not. I'm Bobby T, your online video store clerk, and I'll be searching through my VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray collection to find titles that I think may be interesting to review. In today's episode, I'll be reviewing 1983's Blood Simple, directed by the Coen brothers and starring John Getz, Frances McDermond, Dan Hedaya, and Emmet Walsh. Let me read you the DVD cover. This critically acclaimed thriller, set in rural Texas, combines chilling suspense with offbeat humor to create an all-American version of the classic film noir. Abby, Frances McDermond, is cheating on her saloonkeeper husband, Marty, Dan Hedaya. The object of her affections is Ray, John Getz, one of Marty's bartenders. Marty hires Visser, Emmet Walsh, an unscrupulous detective, to kill them, but Visser has other, more lucrative plans of his own. So begins a calculating round of double and triple crosses that build to a blood-curdling, surprise-filled climax. It's an evil-minded masterpiece from the exciting filmmaking team of Joel and Ethan Coen. In Blood Simple, when someone's gone, it's never for good. Now, I thought I'd seen this film before, but come to find out I hadn't. I like most Coen brothers films, but I'm not a super fan. They tell a good story in a unique way most of the time, and I appreciate that. And the reviews online are just glowing about how amazing this film is. Well, I'm tipping my hand here, but this was a letdown. For everything we always hear about the Coen brothers' genius at movie making, this was their first outing, and it felt every bit like someone's first effort. Now, don't get me wrong, there are things to like about this film. Some of the scenes are creatively set and beautifully shot, but there needs to be a reason to drive a front-wheel clunker out into the middle of a freshly plowed field with tire tracks running from the highway with a 6-foot deep hole dug next to where the cars stopped in the middle of the night. But here's the kicker. When the crane shot pulled back, we realized the car is only about 200 feet from the farmer's fully lit residence. I mean, come on. If you're going to bury a corpse where nobody can find it, you don't do it exactly like this idiot did and bury it where everybody could find it. And that's just the crux of my review here. Everyone did the dumbest, least logical, and basic left turns because the filmmakers wanted to be avant-garde when just staying the course was enough. This film felt contrived, and it had it written all over it. And worst of all, the audience knew everything that was happening at all times. No red herrings, no sleight of hand, just painfully obvious, and that's boring. Now, I reviewed the delightful Night of the Comet recently that used huge abandoned sites and glorious crane shots that contributed to the feeling of terror for our few actors in a low-budget film that made sense and made the film better. In this low-budget film, we can see the quality of the sets and the photography, but the problem with this film is that the acting and the story just aren't up to the director's obvious movie-making skills. This is not Fargo. This film felt flat and icky the entire time, including up to and including the very unsatisfying Coen trademark bleak ending. This was Frances McDermond's first movie. Yeah, the 3-time Best Actress Oscar winner started here. And no, this is not Jennifer Hudson's phenomenal first turn that won her a much-deserved Oscar. In this film, Frances is asked to do very little other than just look like the put-upon wife in an unhappy marriage that cheats with the bartender, then has all kinds of bad happen while she pretty much stands around with a bewildered look on her face while she does the most illogical, slow-motion, long takes that made me really... I didn't even care what happened to her in the end. Speaking of boring acting, Dan Hedaya of Cheers, whom I do love, plays the jerk husband who pretty much has his hands dirty the entire time he's on screen. Spoiler alert, there isn't one redeeming quality which made his death that much less surprising. Until it wasn't his last death at all, until his next death. Oh wait, this isn't a death either, so let's make it this his death. Oh wait, not yet. Oh my gosh, that was the most insane sequence of filming I've seen in a long time, and that's saying a lot. It felt like I was watching a cat literally clocking out the life one at a time until the next life started again, albeit where most human bodies carry about a gallon of blood. This character must have had 8 gallons based on the story. It was silly, and it insulted my intelligence. Then we get to the main actor, and I use that term in quotes for a reason since he didn't act at all. John Getz, Yeah, I didn't know him either until I saw him on screen. Then I realized he's the clown that overacted so horribly as the bad guy in Charlie Sheen's 1990s version of Men at Work. But in this film, he underacted just as horribly. Maybe there's a film out there where he splits the difference and acted well, but I'm not holding my breath. The only redeeming quality in this entire film, besides some of the cinematography, was Emmet Walsh, who played his slimy private dick to perfection. He was always a reliable background player in other movies, but in this film, he was the most interesting catalyst that kept the story working, albeit with some of his dialogue that was mumbled to the point of unintelligible. Let me just say, without Walsh's character, and best of all his excellent acting, this film would have been unbearable. So, my overall report card of the film, it looks like this. Does it stand the test of time? Sorry, I did not drink the Coen brothers Kool-Aid here. No, this is a C-. This film looks like a film school project. A good film school project, but still not worth watching on the big screen. The story. I'll give this a C- also. This was a basic 30-minute concept stretched out over 90 minutes of pure boredom. The story of a cheating spouse and how the cuckolded husband hires to have them killed only to have all kinds of bad happen after that could be and has been told so many creative, quality ways over the last century. This film felt like a slog. I mean, granted, I've never killed anyone before, but even I know that you don't leave a mountain of incriminating evidence saying, "I did it," at every turn. Jiminy Crickets, they're called gloves, people. I mean, didn't any of these clowns even think they left lighters, crowbars, bloody rags, guns laying around with their fingerprints everywhere? And our hero throws his bloody shirt into the burning trash barrel out back to destroy evidence, but oh, he drives off with the dead body bleeding all over the place in the backseat of his car. I mean, come on. And when one character is standing in a dark room and another character turns on the light and is told to turn it out because they're being hunted, and she turns the light back on a second time anyway. I mean, a precocious 2-year-old acts that way, not a frightened woman hiding from a crazy person. It's pedestrian writing at its best. Cast. As good as the 3 of the actors are in this film, and honestly, there are only 4 worth mentioning in this film, this felt like their very first film. I'll give them a C+ grade here, and I think I'm being generous because I really liked Emmet Walsh. Hedaya and Francis are very average, but John Getz was all kinds of uninspired casting, so there's the average score. Cinematography. Okay, this is where they got it right. I'll give them a B here because it really is beautifully lit and filmed. The sets felt creepy and appropriate. I just wish they would have had reasons to film what they filmed there. I didn't watch a 90-minute film because someone takes good photos though. The plot's very much more important, and they missed on that. The music. We're back to the underwhelming scores again. This was a D+. I can't even give it an average score since music is kind of misleading. This was like an untalented me sitting at the piano and playing chopsticks every time the audience was supposed to be creeped out, and mood music or silence for the remainder. It was very much less than inspirational stuff. So, based on the above scores, I'm going to have to give this a well-deserved C-. Folks, this film is really not that good. There are so many better thrillers out there that deserve your time. I know some of you out there think I'm nuts for dissing the revered Coen brothers so harshly, but step back for a moment and view this film like most of the rest of the population who haven't seen it without drinking the Coen brother Kool-Aid. This film is dark, it's moody, it's beautifully shot, but it's also completely uninteresting. I don't care about a single character. I mean, zero. The story begins with a pretty much zilch backstory, so it didn't even matter the why as much as where are we going to go. And as the plot unfolds, where characters are given several choices at any time, the character nonsensically chooses the most moronic option possible so as to further the plot. At all times, it was like one of those awful 80s slasher films where the teenagers chose to hide unarmed in the cemetery instead of fleeing in the fully gassed up and machine gun ready Humvee in the driveway. And once our characters made a stupid decision, they never talked about anything with each other. They just emoted without showing any real emotions. To be honest, if these losers could get away with murder, I figure humanity is doomed for the true masterminds out there killing people the right way. Come on. So here are some better recommendations along the same line of neo-noir. Body Double. Brian De Palma may have been a weird dude, but he could make an excellent neo-noir film about a husband that gets another man hot for his wife through a telescope. Then he kills her and frames the lover for something he didn't do, sending the poor guy into the sleazy underbelly of the Hollywood porn industry to track down the killer. It's not as icky as I'm making it sound. It's actually a pretty good film. The Postman Always Rings Twice. This is a remake of the original excellent version starring Lana Turner. In this one, Jack Nicholson as a drifter that falls for a good schmo's lusty wife, played by Jessica Lange, before being dragged into a murder plot where things aren't as always as they seem. And lastly, Body Heat. This is a wow. What is it about the films with body in the title that heat up the big screen? In this wonderful neo-noir, Kathleen Turner plays the cheating, smoking hot wife that starts a sexy affair with William Hurt's small-town lawyer, then cons him into murdering her husband, but she too is not necessarily as innocent as we are made to believe. Well, that's it for Blood Simple. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click the like button below. If you want to keep up to date on my future reviews, please click on the subscribe button below. If you want to purchase Blood Simple on DVD, which I would actually recommend renting this rather than buying, or if you wish to purchase any of the other titles I've mentioned earlier, please follow the Amazon links below. If you have any suggestions for movies you'd like me to review, please leave a comment below and I'll see what I can do. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, be sure to help others in need because it's always the right thing to do. Have a great week.